Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Evermore podcast. It's Monday night. We're asking that usual question of what's going on. As you can probably see, what's going on is I'm flying solo tonight. It is just me, Chris in the chair. Marcus, unfortunately, got to go deal with many of the problems that life throws at you. So it's just me tonight, guys, flying solo. But I'm sure we'll have plenty of crack and banter as we get along with the episode. A little bit of housekeeping before we kick off. If you're new to the channel, thank you very much for tuning in. And if you're not new to the channel, thank you very much for staying with us and smashing that button, which I'm going to ask everybody else to do now. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. We're over the 1700 mark now, so we really appreciate everybody doing that. Channel's grown so much in such a short time, which thanks to you guys, it's just been amazing. We love doing this. It's all free content. We don't intend to charge anybody. We just love talking about the club and talking to fans about it as well. And we're live, as always, in the comments, so please jump in. Let us know what you're thinking about everything. We've got a few guys in the comments already. BT's in the house. How you doing? Yes, it's just me, BT. My main man is off tonight, but I'm sure he'll be back next Monday. We've got Ash. How you doing, Ash? Good to see you as always, buddy. BT, again, is straight in. We could be without a few key players, absolutely, mate. We're going to get stuck into all that in a minute. So let's get kicking off then straight away. So we are going to cover a little bit of a Wolves review, really, because we're not on this Wednesday. We're going to be on Thursday, given the fact that Liverpool are playing. Obviously, the Liverpool match is on Wednesday night, so a few of the guys are going as well, and we're not really going to have a great deal of a squad on the channel for Wednesday. So we're going to do Thursday instead, which is quite good because it coincides with the end of the transfer window too. But let's just get stuck into the game of the weekend then. It was a Maxi belter that saved the day, to be honest. I don't know what you guys thought in the comments, but it was a bit of a scrappy game. And obviously the news broke earlier on, a bit of ITK news that Bruno was injured, which was a bit of a bastard. Obviously Bruno's our main man in midfield. You know, I think without him, Joe Linton looks a little bit lost. I thought Joe was decent at the weekend, don't get me wrong, but without him, you know, without that magic of Bruno being there with his magic hat that he's nicked off Matt Ritchie and he'll never get it back, I think we do lack a little bit of something. I think the biggest issue that we had as well, I think a lot of people mentioned it in the comments, I know I did on Twitter, that the bench just looked so championship level, didn't it? You know, there was no real quality on the bench, probably with the exception of Elliot Anderson, I thought, who come off the bench and looked really lively again. You know, he got in the box, he makes things happen every time he's on the ball, you know, and obviously he was really unlucky with that header as well. As Ash is saying there, the whole team looks lost without Bruno 100%. I just think that he's such a talisman to this team now. To lose him in the fashion that we did lose him as well. I was in a chat group with some of the boys earlier on, and they were talking about, you know, should he really have played against Tranmere? Should he really have come on and get that knock? But the stories are going that Bruno had the twinge against an injury that is, against Manchester City. We all had a twinge against Manchester City, Christ. But no, he felt his injury, I think, against Manchester City towards the end. So it does beg the question of why was he even in the squad for Tranmere. To be fair, we didn't need him. You know, if we'd went out and Bruno hadn't played and we found out he was resting up, then I think, to be fair, I don't think any of us would have kicked off. But going back to the game of the weekend, yeah, I mean, I think Wood, you know, Wood tried hard. I know there was a bit of love for Wood on Twitter, you know, trying to kind of big him up to say, you know, he's vital to the team and everything else and all of this stuff. But he's such a limited striker with his movement, isn't he? With his kind of mobility. I think I tweeted that, you know, swapping Chris Wood for Callum Wilson for Chris Wood even is like parking your Aston Martin and driving around a transit van all day. Now, there's nothing wrong with a transit van, but you're not going to get the same kind of drive out of it you would in Aston Martin, would you? And the same thing applies to Wilson and Wood. I think we did massively miss Callum Wilson. And it was also a bit shit as well. This kind of ties in, really, the Isak delays. I mean, it was interesting this because we were all expecting Isak to play. It didn't really seem to be a great deal of an issue in many people's minds, but you know, all of a sudden his paperwork's delayed and he can't play. I mean, it was great to see him with the squad as well. You know, he was obviously all suited and booted, ready to go, but he couldn't play, which was a bit shit. Loads of people were talking about the reasons for it. You know, I see loads of conspiracy theories coming out. It was worse than the bloody Princess Diana documentary I was watching the other day. People were saying the Premier League are being corrupt and they were holding back the paperwork on purpose, and you know, other people are blaming Brexit, which is probably more to the truth, to be honest with you. In my day job, I have lots of Brexit problems. So yes, thank you very much for everyone who voted that. Not that I'm getting too political, but yeah, it was a real shame to not see Isak there, even off the bench, because I think if we'd had Isak off the bench, we could have done something in that game. I think we were on them in the second half, and we really were. I mean, I think the first half we were sluggish, we were poor, we couldn't really put our game on them. I think that's what Eddie Howard said as well in his post-match comments. I mean, they didn't really have a great deal either. I thought Botman handled Jimenez really well. I mean, Jimenez isn't the same kind of player that he used to be. before he had that horrific head injury, but he's still a talented player. He's still dangerous. They're new signings as well. As it Muniz and Guedes, they look lively. They were busy. They were kind of buzzing around. Martinho's always good on the ball. Pedro, Ruben Neves and Neto as well. They were decent. Obviously, the goal came from the edge of the box as well from Neves, wasn't it? Where I thought that was quite poor from the midfield. We didn't close it down, and we didn't really react to it. I think Willock did get out there in the end. I thought Willock struggled, to be honest with you. I like Joe Willock, but in a game like that, I just think he struggled a little bit, and he played midweek as well. To be fair, I think Willock was feeling the pace a little bit. He was a little bit tired, so I think going out to close that shot, and he's unlucky because it goes through his legs. To be fair, so I think he's unlucky not to get something on that ball. But I was disappointed when that went in the back of the net, and I just think that we could have handled it a little bit better. But I thought the back four did all right. Target come on at left back, and I think he just looked lively again. He looked better there. We looked in better shape with Target there. But the game goes on, and I think we are quite lucky to get a draw in the end, and we probably could have won it in the end. I think Ash was saying earlier on as well there that he thinks Elliot Anderson is a lot better than Sean Longstaff, as he's saying there. But I dare bet that Flash keeps his place against Liverpool on Wednesday. The irony of it, yes, he's not the quickest as old Sean. He tries hard, bless him. 100 appearances now for Sean Longstaff, if anybody can believe that, which unfortunately for Sean, he does get a bit of shit. I do like the lad, and I hope he really does well, but he is very limited, and I think he should just be a squad player, shouldn't really be in the starting 11, to be fair. Jody Tuna for Life in the comments, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Our makeshift midfield outplayed their Portuguese midfield in large parts. Credit for the 64% possession. It's almost a seamless segue. This is Tuna for Life, just taking me to what Ruben Neves said after the game. So obviously at the end of the game, I think Wolves will look either hang on, to be fair. We should have probably won that game. I think if Anderson's head is a pubes width lower, it's in the back of the net. And we win the game 2-1. If Isak plays, I think we win the game 2 or 3-1, to be fair. So Ruben Neves was interviewed after the game, and this is what he said, which was unbelievable. He got loads of stick on Twitter for it, and bloody right as well. So Ruben Neves said, "This is us, their Newcastle. Style of play is just like that. Just like long balls and second balls, they're not a team that wants to have possession too much." So as Tune for Life has alluded to there, we had 64% possession against their 36. We had 452 passes against their 260. We hit 56 long balls to their 61. So, yeah, I think Ruben Neves must have been watching a different game there, lads, to be fair, because I'm not sure he was watching the same game that we were. It was very bitter, to be fair, by Ruben Neves, and just unnecessary, really. Just obviously a player that was just bitter that they didn't close the game out really and win the game, to be fair. Stu says there they've got half the Portuguese national team playing for them. I'm surprised Ronaldo's not rocked up in a gold shirt, mate, to be fair. They've got that many bloody players there. But yeah, I think we were lucky to probably get a point, when the goal went in, because it was something out of nothing, really. That Murphy chases the ball down and, it's hoofed up in the air. And credit Maxi. It's an unbelievable strike. It really is. And, I think I actually said Maxi would be shit against Wolves, probably, I think, on the podcast. So I'm eating my words because he wasn't shit. He was decent. And then obviously he scores that worldie. No other player in the park at that time can do that. There's no Bruno. There's no Wilson. So he's the man to do that for us. And it was great to see that he showed up and kind of saved us a point. We're still unbeaten, so that's a bonus to take there as well. Moving into the Liverpool game, it's not like they were any good with it against Bournemouth, winning 9-0, and we're missing half of our team, I think, which was alluded to before. So going into that Liverpool game, we're missing, obviously, Bruno. I mean, there's been pictures of Bruno online with oxygen masks on, and he's in his hot tub giving the thumbs up. So he's obviously trying his best to get back as quick as he can. We're going to get into Bruno a little bit in a little bit of time. But, so it's disappointing to not have Bruno there. Obviously, Wilson's out. Trippier felt his hamstring in that game as well, which was a nightmare to see. The last thing we need is Trippier getting injured again, because he's so important to the side. That Maxi even felt his hamstring as well, so it could be in real bad shape going into Liverpool. But a little bit more on those kind of going forward and what it means for the transfer window. But just check a few of your comments here, guys, as we're going here, because it's just me tonight. So bear with me. I'll be as good as I can. I've got Stu in the comments there saying maybe Joe Litton didn't trust Sean as much as Bruno. I do agree with that. I think his Longstaff is limited, to be fair. BT is saying Bruno had a slight niggle and nothing serious. We hope he won't miss too much. Liverpool might be too soon. Yeah, to be fair, BT, I think he will definitely miss Liverpool. But if he can be back for the next game, then I think it's Palace after Liverpool, isn't it? I think so. If he can be back for that one, then happy days. And you never know, I might have some new signings in there as well, to be fair. We've got Leroy is saying people have rightly saying that the tune could be all entries in the goal of the month. Absolutely, mate. I think we've scored some absolute snorters so far, and long may that continue. Ash is in the comments saying that he thinks Brexit was the issue, needed a work permit that wouldn't have been required if we hadn't left the EU. So there you go, everybody. If you voted Brexit and you're a Newcastle fan, you possibly cost Isak making his debut against Wolves. But don't beat yourself up too much. We've got Jimmy saying a bit harsh. Transit fan as is that 200,000 miles? It's too late for maths on the clock, Jimmy. Absolutely, absolutely. Moving forward, there we've got I think Ash is saying his conspiracy theory that it was typical of the Castori derby that a new product hadn't been shipped on time. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. But no, you're right. It was disappointing, I suppose, not to get the 3 points in the end. But we're in good shape. We've played. Played very different mixture of games, really. We beat Forest comfortably. We made Forest look really shit in the opening day of the season, and Forest have done all right. I watched them against Spurs the other day as well, and there were no mugs as well, to be fair. They were okay. So they're not as bad of a side as we maybe thought they were in the first game. Obviously we have a good draw against Brighton, who are shocking everybody, really. And then obviously we've got this great draw against Manchester City, and then a draw again against Wolves. I think if we just add some quality in the final third, I really do think that that changes things absolutely 100%. So just moving on to the next category there, which I did touch upon, was obviously Bruno being out. Now, is a new midfielder inbound? I've got some comments here that kind of take me quite nicely into this. If you bear with us, I'm just going to pull that up. So yeah, BT is saying that we still need a DM and someone on the right wing, then we can push Bruno forward. I couldn't agree more. BT, to be honest with you, we have been linked to a kind of wrath of players. We've done some more transfer rumour videos. We've only got about 3 more days left, so we're going to smash a few of them out. So keep your eye on the channel; they'll be popping up. So make sure you check those out, guys. But yeah, the big player that we were linked to was Edison Alvarez from Ajax. Now, there's been numerous different messages and stories about Alvarez. Looks a very good player, by the way. 24, Mexican beast. Can tackle anything, really. Could tackle world hunger. I think he's that good. But the rumours were that we would put a bid in for 35 million euro, got knocked back. Then went 40 million euro, got knocked back. Then 55 million euro, got knocked back. But apparently Ajax have turned around and told him he's going nowhere till after the World Cup. They're no mugs. Obviously, they're thinking his value will probably rise after that, so they'll be able to get more money for him. So apparently he's accepted that and he's not going anywhere. But you never know in the transfer window. Money talks and bullshit walks. So that could move, to be fair. Kenks in the comments, good to see you again, buddy. Missed opportunity not signing Paqueta. Let him walk to West Ham United. Paqueta with Declan Rice, one of the best midfielders of the Premier League, which I was dreaming for Newcastle. Do you know, it's a funny one, this, Kenk, to be honest with you, because I think the Paqueta one, I said this the other day on Twitter, that don't get me wrong, he's a good player, and of course I would have wanted him if it was an option for Newcastle, but I don't think we were ever really in for Paqueta. I think this whole transfer saga was really born out of our desire to see this kid come and play with his mate Bruno. We saw him coming to Newcastle with Bruno, and they're out with the missuses and the quayside and all that, and we just thought, this is a perfect match made in heaven, this isn't. I think we wanted it so much that we almost forced our minds to believe that Newcastle were going to sign Lucas Paqueta, but I don't think we're ever really in for him. I think Keith Downey actually said that on Sky Sports, that we weren't in for him at all. So you just don't know, to be fair. I mean, we're not ITKs in this channel, I don't put much stock in those kind of things either. So all this stories about, oh yeah, I seen Paqueta getting, fish and chips in fucking Newburn Chippy, or his kids were registered in some kind of school or whatever. Just utter fucking nonsense. Just people wanting clicks and likes and subscriber growth and everything else. We don't do that shit on this channel. We just talk about football. Yes, we'll talk about players that are linked and everything else, but we're not going to just make up fucking stories for people to come and click on the channel. That's just not what we do. So all that noise was just noise, I think, to be fair. And it really made us as a fan base think there was something in this, but I just don't think we ever were going to get this player. I think his agent possibly wanted to move, but we didn't want to move, I don't think, as a club, so just for me, yeah, I'm not convinced that I was ever going to happen, to be brutally honest with you. But, and I think as Dude, Where's My Pop? Love that name, mate. It's just Paqueta wanted to move to London. I think a lot of these players still do want to move to London. I mean, obviously, I'm from the Northeast. I've lived in the Northeast since I was 2 years old. I love this city. I love this place. It's beautiful. We've got beautiful coastlines. We've got, Boston nightlife. We've got a metro centre. Don't need London when you've got the metro centre, you know what I mean? But yeah, these players do want to be in the capital. They think they can disappear in the capital a bit more and all that nonsense. You can't disappear anywhere now as a professional footballer, because people just follow you everywhere. Do you know what I mean? So we've got Roger in the comments. Good to see you, Roger. I have said for a while that a DM would sit next to Bruno, would make him freer, I think that's what he says. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that, Roger. I do think Bruno has been stifled since Shelby's been knackered. I think he's had to pull back a lot more, and he's had to cover that defensive, area of the park. And for me, I think he's better being free, isn't he? He's better being a free spirit. It's like putting handcuffs on a genie, isn't it? To be fair, just let Bruno be Bruno and be magic and do what he does. And for that to happen, you need to have a defensive player. I mean, I'm still adamant. If we'd had a defensive midfielder against Man City, we'd have won that game. We'd have won that game 3-2. I really believe that. They got back into it with Haaland. You can never keep him quiet, but I just think we'd have won that game if we'd had a proper defensive-minded player there. And somebody mentioned Declan Rice before. I'm a bit about Declan Rice. I think he's over-egged because he's English, but a proper defensive midfielder like a Kante type player or something like that. Makaleli back in the day. We've been linked to is it Manu Kone from Borussia Mönchengladbach. He's a good holding midfielder, very Vieira type style. A player like that would have stopped those through balls from De Bruyne and possibly kept us in the lead for that game. Do you know what I mean? So I just think it's definitely a player that we need as well. I could not disagree with that at all. So dude's also saying, any news on the ASM injury? No, mate, nothing that we've seen so far. Obviously, he was feeling his hamstring, but I mean, a player like Maxi's always going to do that kind of thing as well, isn't he? I think he's got more bloody bandages on than the mummy, I think, when you see him playing, because when you play with that kind of pace and you've got permanently dislocated hips like Maxi has, and I just think that you're always going to catch those kind of injuries as well, to be fair. So hopefully it's not a bad one and he can play against Liverpool, mate. So Kenk's saying that he hopes we can sign Diaby from Leverkusen. Yeah, definitely. They signed Hudson-Odoi. That could be a game changer that for them. But I think that again with Diaby, I think he's been told that again nothing's happening with him until after the World Cup either, and that he's happy to stay at Leverkusen. He might even sign a new contract, but new contracts aren't worth the paper they're printed on. I remember Andy Carroll signed a new contract, and then about 3 months later he was sold for 35 million quid. So I don't put a great deal of stock in those types of things. Ash is saying, yeah, the Metro Centre, coastlines, etc., but you take a 10k pay cut to go to Brentford. I did actually give old Gobby and Bangalore a bit of shit on Twitter about that, mate. Surprisingly enough, he was very quiet. This is after he was licking Souness's arse for talking about, I think, how small Martinez was for Man United, which is funny. But I did remind him that Fabio Cannavaro was 5'9". He was one of the best centre-halves of this generation. Absolute knobs, these guys. I don't know how they get paid for that. I really don't. We do this for free. We do a better job than them. Yes, Jimmy, London is a shit house. Nice place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there, mate. I've spent too much time there for work and I don't like it. Stu said he hopes Paqueta has good eyesight to see the fans at West Ham. Yeah, you do need to get a bus, don't you, to catch the fans. It certainly won't be the same kind of atmosphere that you would have experienced at James's Park, mate. Absolutely. But I mean, going back to the Bruno point, obviously, I think what it shows is that if we have a few injuries to some key players, obviously Wilson's out, they pushed the button, they got Isak, great move by the club, absolutely buzzing with that. I think Isak will be superb. I'm sure you guys all agree with me as well. I think, once he hits the ground running, he's got the pace, he's got that X factor to change the game. Unbelievable signing, brilliant signing. A player that could put pressure on Wilson, can play up front with Wilson, happy days. But with Bruno, when Bruno's knackered, we haven't got anybody else to come in. Longstaff works hard, but he's not got the quality. Anderson's a very good player, but it's a lot to put on a young player's shoulders. We need somebody else to come in there. Loads of names have been linked. Just rattle through a few of them. Obviously, Yuri Tillemans is another one that's came on the radar. Apparently that he sold his house and he's living in temporary accommodation because him and his family think there's a move on the cards. There's about 4 or 5 clubs linked to Tillemans, and we're one of them. Tillemans is unbelievable. If we could get Yuri Tillemans for 35 million quid, 30 million quid, or whatever it's going to cost, just pay the money and get that deal done, because the kid is phenomenal. No doubt about that. Madison's still apparently on the radar. A lot of the journalists are still making noises about that, saying that deal could still be done. We all know Leicester's a bit of a dumpster fire at the minute. They're sinking fast. The big players are wanting to leave. Jamie Vardy signed a new contract, but Jamie Vardy's not going to go anywhere. He's too old, and his wife's a fucking nightmare as well. Who wants that baggage at their club? So no wonder he signed a new contract. Rodgers is on borrowed time by the looks of it as well. He's not happy because he can't get new players. Fofana wants away. So, Tillemans and Maddison could be achievable, in my opinion. And I think the club should go for it. I mean, it's a big decision for the club. I think Luke Edwards said that. I know he gets a bit of shit, Luke Edwards, but he said this is a real kind of crossroads moment for the club here, for the hierarchy. Do they push the button and do they go, right, fuck it, let's go big and let's go get Tillemans and Maddison? The deals are there, get them done, and then we'll worry about the financial fair play in 3 years. By that time we might be playing Champions League football and these lads have got us there. So the extra money will come in and the commercial revenue and everything else. So it's a real big decision for the club to look at now, but they're such good players, those two. you'd be mad not to go for it. I think Ash is saying if we can get Tielemans in this window, that would be effing madness considering what we've already bought in. It would be, Ash, it would be unbelievable. Honestly, I could not believe that if we get done. I'd do a Carlton Fresh Prince dance on the next podcast. You can take that as read, mate. Dude is saying if we can get a decent CDM, absolutely, mate. But you're right. This is a key area. This is, I think, for me, defensive midfield. It's been neglected over the years, but it's such a key area in a football pitch. If you don't have that player to just sit and protect, your back four, your attacking players go forward, they leave you exposed. And it happens to so many teams. It's such a key area. That's why players need to have, those positions filled. In Manchester United, I've got, McFred, the worst boy band in show business, but they're defensive midfielders, and that's why they get in that team. So Toon Leroy is saying this whole wants to be in London. These are just young lads. I can't believe all hype this year. Got to be in London. Got to be the Champions League. You need a Lambo, blah, blah, blah. Exactly, mate. They've got bad guys in the rears. Look what happened at Ekitike. That deal was done until his agent pipped up and, started sniffing around Paris and stuff like that. So unfortunately, if you surround yourself with bad advisors, you end up getting bad advice. Look at Paul Pogba. Somebody should have told him he was being a bell end years ago, and he potentially might have a much better legacy as a player than just having 965 haircuts and being a bit of a prick. So BT is saying there was a lot of talk about getting a right back. I did hear this, BT. I mean, somebody put a cracking comment on Twitter. I can't remember who it was now, but they said that we should go for Wan-Bissaka if Trippier's injured. And I think that's a good shout, to be fair. Wan-Bissaka is a good player still. When he was at Palace, he was up and down that line. Decent defensive. He could get forward as well. Kraft snacker as well. So we might see some movement there. Potentially it might be a loan deal, maybe from overseas. We've got scouts all over the world. So you never know. We could very well get that. Dude is also saying, does it sound like we're backing from Pedro? The noises don't seem to be, mate. There's still this kind of hope in the background, I suppose, that the club can maybe revive that deal. But I was never big on the Pedro deal, but he will add something to the squad, I think, especially if you can't get a James Maddison in or something like that, to play out wide. Or the Pulisic deal looks dead as well now, which is bad. I think Pulisic has been told by Chelsea that he's not going to go anywhere, and I think he's pissed off with it as well, and rightly so. It's World Cup year. He's the captain of America. He's a really good player, and he's just going to be sitting, swinging the lead with a manager who has actually come out and said, I don't trust you. So that's terrible, terrible handling of a player by Chelsea as well. It really, really is. And they're just the horrible clubs. Look at the way Manchester United handled the whole Jesse Lingard and Dean Henderson deal at Newcastle. Awful clubs at times. A little bit more Manchester United in a minute, because obviously what's happened, or potentially what's going to happen with one of our players. Mark's in the comments, he's not here in person, but he's here in spirit. I think the injuries make it clear that at least two or more are needed now. That might push the club into action. I totally agree, Mark. I just think that a lot of people are seeing that now, and if we're seeing it, you can bet your arse Eddie Howe's seeing it, and Dan Ashworth's seeing it, and even Murdad and Amanda are seeing it. You look at that bench and you just think, oh, fucking hell, I don't fancy any of these guys getting in half these squads. They work hard and everything else, and they love being at the club, and they look great in the team photographs, but they're not going to do much on the pitch. So I think, for me, definitely, it's crying out that we need quality and depth in this squad, because it is light. It's massively light. I said earlier on in the chat group I was in for one of my previous guys before we jumped and did this, that you can't push in on the cups when you've got such a weak squad, such a thin squad, because if you play your big players against Tranmere on a cold Tuesday night or Wednesday night or whatever, they're going to get shit kicked out of them by lower league players and get injuries like Kraft did, like Bruno's aggravated. You know what I mean? It's not good. Even Trippier got his foot smashed that night. He could have went off with another injury. So unfortunately, you can't use your players in the cups if you haven't got the squad depth. You really, really can't. Roger saying in the comments again, ASM is on form with Isak and Miggy. You're right, mate. Yeah. I love Miggy, to be fair. He works his nuts off. He really does. If only he had the ability to go with his endeavour, he would be world class. He'd be absolutely world class. But he does work hard as Miggy. But I would much rather see quality come in the shape of a Maddison or a Tielemans or something like that, and Miggy sit on the bench, because what an impact player from the bench Miggy would be. Pace. He's like a wasp at a picnic. He's just buzzing around, annoying the shit out of you. He would win your penalties, he'd win your free kicks, he'd maybe pop up with a goal or two. Miggy would be a lot better at this club as an impact player from the bench. There's no other player in the squad who would cause more damage as an impact player than Miggy Almiron. There really wouldn't be, with the exception of maybe if Wilson's on the bench, if Isak was banging him in and getting in ahead of him, if we still played one up front. But that's what we need to do, get a quality player in to take Miggy's spot. then Miggy's an impact player off the bench. I think Miggy would take that because he would play games. He really, really would, and he would change games as well. Ekitike even kicked the ball this season. No idea, Ash. He's too busy counting his money, the greedy bastard. Jimmy's in the comments there saying, I reckon after the performance against Man City, the owners have thought, fuck, we aren't that far away. I really hope you're right, Jimmy, because the rest of the footballing world was saying the same thing, to be fair, that we had no right to take Man City that close to the wire. I think out of all the teams that they've played, yes, it was a bit hard for them against Palace. Palace is the bogey team, and Haaland popped up and controlled that game. But, we kept Haaland relatively quiet, and he's a world-class striker. So, we've got a really good back line. Pope's been a breath of fresh air. Trippier's brilliant. Target's a good player. You got Botman and Shaw next to each other. Burn can come in there as well. Wilson, when he was fit, was banging him in, looking brilliant. ASM was on fire. Bruno, Joe Litton, a class. You're only 3 or 4 away from being a top 8, top 6 side. So, for me, all this kind of long game stuff is okay. But you know what? Let's fucking push the button now. Let's go for it now because we're not too far away. Why not deal with it now and get kind of European football and push on from there and increase the revenue? I don't see why we wouldn't do that. Alan Thompson, I wonder if it is the Alan Thompson. Tomo in the comments. Please, Chris, people are praising Almiron on Sunday. Sorry, he's just not good enough. No end product. Lascelles has scored more goals. Ouch. No wonder we need to play on the right side. Madison, please, 100%. Alan, I just said that I love Miggy's endeavour. I really do. And it's hard not to love the bloke. He's always smiling. He always looks so happy to be there, doesn't he? But he's just, he isn't a good enough player to be someone you hang your hat on. He's really, really not. He hasn't got a right foot, and he causes loads of panics in the box. He makes the easy ball more difficult, but he's just got energy for days. He can run and he can run and he can run. So as I said, he's the type of player you want to come on with 20 minutes to go. Legs are tired. Bring Miggy Almiron on. He's going to win you a pen, or he's going to score a goal, or whatever it is he's going to do. He's going to cause you trouble. He's going to create space for the better players to pop up and win you the game. But you need to have a better player in his position. And for me, Alan, I'm right with you. Madison for me all day long. Mark saying, talk of West Ham's Harrison Ashby, who was a right back, I think. I'm not too sure about that lad, Mark. I don't know much about him. You're the scout of the channel, mate, so you're probably the best guy to talk to about me. This is a comment here from Ash. I was waiting for this. So Ross Barkley is Sans club now. Would we take a punt for Nout? I wouldn't have paid for him because he's a shadow of his former self, but on a free. Do you know what's funny for me, Ash? I wouldn't, right? He was Aston Villa on loan and he was crap. He didn't do anything really. He should have tore up Aston Villa. He should have been brilliant for them. And he was really, really poor. I think he's one of them players that thinks he's better than he is. He's not done it for years. And for me, he's treading the same path as Dele Alli, who's just gone off to get Turkish teeth. I'm sorry, not for me. I think Barkley would be a problem for the dressing room. I still think he's got ability. There's no doubt about that. But I just don't think he's got the right attitude, mate. I think, didn't Eddie Howe have Jack Wilshere at Bournemouth for a time? And Wilshere didn't have the right attitude, I don't think. So I think Eddie Howe put him in his place quite quickly, on. And I think Ross Barkley would be the same. Free transfer, he'll go somewhere. I think he'll go back to Everton personally, mate. He's tailor-made for that. And I do love the Cobra Kai comment, mate. They're fucking terrible trying, mate. How they didn't get 2 red cards is beyond me, mate. Absolutely. BT saying that you heard that for $2.5 million. Could be good business then, lads, if he's cheap the right back. Jody Toon for Life is saying, hopefully Murdad has been his hand back and nicked the credit cards. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I'd love to have that credit card. Christ, I'd have some night with that. Ekitike's played 14 minutes, Ash, just to let you know there. So well worth the move. I couldn't agree more. Oh, here's one. Would you take Steven Gerrard? I think he'd be keen to come. Do you know what? He'll be jobless soon, Stu. So I'd still take him in midfield. I think he could hold in midfield quite well, to be honest with you. He'd still probably be better than half of our players in there, to be honest with you. So Toon Leroy saying, do you think Isak left, Wilson centre and ASM right would work? Oh, mate, that's mouth-watering, Leroy. That's mouth-watering. I'd absolutely love that. Again, what Ash is saying as well, I think that's the plan. Do you know what? If that is the plan, fucking hell, we've got a scary front three there, no doubt. And Miggy off the bench, as Roger agrees with me, impact player, 100%. Just come on and run and smile. Absolutely, mate. But I don't dislike Miggy. I think he has got a part to play in this squad, but in the squad, same as Sean Longstaff has a part to play in the squad, but not starting games. No chance. Like Wolves weren't great at the weekend. If we had quality in that team, if Wilson plays, if Bruno plays, we win that game. Hands down, in my opinion. Just them 2 players alone win us that game. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And I think BT is also saying Bartley was on 200 grand a week. Wow. There'll be a signing on fee. He's 28. We should be at the peak of his powers, BT. But I just, for me, nah, he wants too much money. I don't even think he'd lower his wage request either. I think he would be expecting to get big money here as well. Robbie's in the comments. I think he's a Leeds fan. Robbie, you're doing well, mate. Well done for that, bud. Almiron won't take the tune forward. I couldn't disagree more. I couldn't agree more, mate. Beg your pardon. He's a lovely, lovely lad, but he's not a great player. Miggy's right foot is made of silly string. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. And also, Robbie agrees with me that Bartley is another Delhi. Absolutely. We've got Jimmy saying, loving Miggy for his smile. Is like, congratulations. Fucking hell, Jimmy, that is strong, mate. That is absolutely strong. You have cut deep just as bad as old Sutcliffe did there, mate. Jesus H. Christ. We've got Robbie in the comments saying, Gerard Lampard will be standing in the same goal queue soon. Do you know what I love about this? People have been quick to put this on Twitter as well. The golden boys of the media in management is Lampard and Gerrard, but the real golden boys is Potter and Eddie Howe. They're the next England manager. Them two. I hope we have Eddie Howe for years. By the way, I don't want to be the England manager, but the best two young English managers in this Premier League, hands down, is Graham Potter and Eddie Howe. Those two have got no fucking chance. Great players, but they're not good managers. Gerrard did well at Rangers, but it's a 2-horse race. To be honest with you, just got to be the first horse. So he's now kind of seeing what the Premier League's all about. So I think he's going to have some real issues going forward, and I think he will be out of a job soon. Not that you'd like to see anybody out of a job, but I think old Stevie G will certainly be out of a job soon. Dude is saying, should he will rip into the loan market? Yeah, I think so, mate. The loan market is definitely a good place to add quality to the squad. There's a lot of good players out there, especially with the World Cup year, need to play games, so why not? Look overseas as well. Look in Serie A, look at La Liga. There's loads of players out there that need to play games. I just think that we should be looking at that. One player we probably shouldn't be looking at is Bakayoko, as Leroy said. That this got shut down quite quickly. Actually, it was pulled up on Twitter by I think one of the journalists who covers Serie A. And then there's another journalist, Jacques Talbot, who's a good lad. Actually, I used to write for True Faith with Jacques. He's a top lad. Hello, Jacques, if you're watching. And he just shot it down straight away and just said, no, utter shite. So, and he's quite good as Jacques, to be fair. He doesn't normally throw the ITKs and the bollocks out there. So I would tend to believe him, to be brutally honest with you. We've got Andrew Tierney in the comments. He's just looked up. Akatika came on 78th minute for their first game. No, fucking hell. What kind of a move is that for a young kid like that, a prospect like him, who's wanting to, get himself in the French team and everything else? It just goes to show you, man. Just money talks. Just honestly, what a load of fucking shite. It really is. I'd sack my agent if I was him. Michael C in the comments. Good to see you, mate. Howe is a better manager. Potter was made by Dan Ashworth. Agreed, he's a good manager, but look what Eddie Howe has done. There's no doubt for me, Mike. I couldn't agree more, mate. I think Eddie Howe. Massive credit for Eddie Howe. I mean, I'd love to see where we are at the end of the season. I mean, if we're in the top 6 or something like that, come the end of the season, he's got to be in with a shout for manager of the year, really, hasn't he? Certainly for ahead of Potter and everybody else. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you are a Leeds fan. I do remember, Robbie. I've got a good memory for that, mate. You don't have a spare left back knocking around. Well, would give you Paul Dummett, mate, but he'd probably get injured on the way down. I love Dummett, but he's never fit. So, that's probably the only one we could give you, mate. Jamal Lewis, potentially. Some people rate him, but I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. I think, we've got there. Sorry, Tommy is in the comments there saying, when the brain went to QPR, Gerrard's days were numbered. Yeah, absolutely, mate. I couldn't agree more. I think Mark's agreeing with you as well. It's a good shout, that. Roger, where exactly would Bakayoko fit? I just don't think he would, to be honest with you, mate. I think he's a defensive midfielder, isn't he? So, we've just been talking about a player that can protect the back four. And on paper, you would say, yeah, he could do that, but he didn't do anything really at Chelsea. I think he was a bit of a worky ticket as well, as far as I remember. But I memean, Chelsea's a horrible club. I mean, if I was a young player of note from, Ligue 1 or La Liga or Serie A or wherever, and Chelsea came calling, I'd tell them to get the fuck. I really would, because you'll either end up on loan somewhere like West Brom or something like that, or Nottingham Forest, or you'll never play. You'll be in the reserves. Yes, you'll be in London and all that shit, but then your career will end up getting set back by about 5 or 6 years. So I think these people need to look at their agents, really, because where would you rather go? Would you rather go to a club like Newcastle United or even Everton, Spurs, West Ham, something like that, where you're going to play week in, week out, play league games, play cup games, and better your career?
Are you going to go to Chelsea just to be in London so you can shop at Harrods? You know, a load of fucking bollocks, mate. These agents just after every penny they can get. You know, they make me sick. Some of them, they really do. Alvarez would be, yeah, we said Alvarez, mate. Yeah, he'd be a great sign. He really would. He just looks the real deal. The tackles he puts in is unbelievable. 100%. Yeah, Mark saying that. He immediately thought of Ibrahim Bakayoko from Championship Manager. Yeah, I remember he was on, was it the old ISS Pro, the Pro Evolution Soccer. And you can only tell it was him because he had that bleach blonde like hair, like Simon Phoenix from Demolition Man. I do remember that one, Mark. Yeah, absolutely. When we flirted with a little bit of Pro Evo back in the day. I'm a FIFA man at heart, but I did have a little stab with that as well, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, there'll be loads of players we're going to be linked to, I think, in the transfer window. But there's no doubt that we need to definitely get those at least 2 or 3 players in. I still think we need somebody to play, maybe off the front, maybe out wide. Pedro could be a good shout for that. Certainly need that defensive midfielder because we just look open. I think all the goals we've conceded, a defensive midfielder sorts them out. I really believe that. And I just think that's what makes it so important. And then we do need that creativity. We need that player on the right-hand side. I love the talk people have said about if you can get Maddison and switch Maxi to the right-hand side, to me, that is an absolute no-brainer. Could you imagine a front three with Maddison, Isak, and Maxi? And then when Wilson comes back, you've got a choice of one of those quality players to drop out. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, that would be mouth-watering, as we said, but we're going to be linked to loads of players. We're going to bash out a few transfer videos, guys. So as I said, make sure you check them out in the comments and obviously just, let us know what you think about the players that we're talking about. But there'll be loads of movement. I think The Athletic did a podcast that said, there's going to be just a complete kamikaze of moves in amongst the Premier League squads. I think, Palace have already bid for Gallagher, I think. We're in for Gallagher, and that's just, there's loads of players, there's loads of domino effects. One guy will move here and there, and there'll be about another 3 or 4 moves, I think, that follow the back of that, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I've seen that BT about a bit of a hothead. See, for me, when you play in that position, I think you're bound to get yellow cards, especially if you're the person who's cleaning up after somebody skillful has maybe lost the ball and put you under pressure. You saw with the Conor Gallagher thing at the weekend, sometimes you just got to wipe the player out, especially when you're that last line of defence. And if the guy's got more pace and you just think, I'm going to have to take him out. So I think you're always going to get a yellow card in that position. So I'm not too worried about guys who have too many yellow cards. I mean, look at Tiote, God rest his soul. He got booked all the time, didn't he? But he was an absolute destroyer. And yet, Roger, I'm with you, mate. I'd love Maddison as well. Absolutely class. But as I said, guys, there'll be loads of people linked in the kind of in the press and everything else in the next few days. So we'll keep an eye on that and everything else. But just moving on to the next section, probably to set a few bloods boiling here as well. So as everybody probably noticed, we played in our infamous white and green strip at the weekend that was caught in controversy even way before the season even kicked off. But we have had a few shitty journalists hacking us off, taking a pop at the fact that we were wearing that strip. Now, I'm sure many of you are watching the game, probably on Sky Sports, a bit like I was, and it took the Sky Sports commentator, I think, all of 6 seconds to liken the strip to the Saudi Arabian national team. Nobody else had mentioned it pre-game, as far as I know. Nobody mentioned it on social media, but the Sky commentator thought it right to say, I'll just mention this 6 seconds into the game. I mean, their commentary was a disgrace anyway. I mean, they had Don Goodman, I think, there, who's just, hanging out the back of Wolves' arse, so he was completely impartial, wasn't he? But, yeah, I mean, this whole Saudi Arabian strip thing, I mean, people have mentioned it before. Was it a bit of a mistake by Castore? Potentially. Was it a bit of a mistake by the club that it happened? Potentially. But, there's commercial elements as well. There'll be loads more fans now in Saudi Arabia because of, the club being bought by the PIF. So, they're going to bring that shirt out. They'll sell more in Saudi Arabia than they'll sell over here. We've had green and white shirts before. Yes, they didn't look, very similar to the national team of Saudi Arabia. But I just think, you could say that with anybody. You could say, Manchester United's shirt looks like the Russian home strip because they've got red top, white shorts. Just where do you draw the line with these types of things? But I mean, I thought Sky were really poor, as Ash was saying as well in the comments. The commentary was shite. I said after 2 minutes they were pissing me off. You're right, mate. Sky is terrible in general, I think, most of the time. Yes, I can understand the strip is going to, cause a bit of controversy, but I think Luke Edwards got a bit of stick for this on Twitter, and I haven't got a big problem with Luke, to be honest with you. Luke Luke says what he wants to say. He rubs people up the wrong way. I think he fishes a bit, to be fair. He loves a nibble. I think he has a couple of cheeky glasses of red and likes a bit of a nibble from us Newcastle fans. So, don't give him the nibble if you don't want to end up in an argument with him. But I think, he said, oh, hopefully they'll never wear that strip again. And I just had a bit of a laugh with him on our socials. And I just said, we're not Man United, mate. We're not going to change a strip at half time, like they did with the infamous grey strip. But I think, to be fair, as the comment has just come in from Ash there, the one who really pissed me off was Oliver Holt. Now, I'm not a big fan of Oliver Holt anyway. I think he's an absolute fucking bellend. There's no other way I can say it than that. He's the quintessential middle class, fucking turn his nose up at everybody else, wanker. I used to watch the Sunday supplement chat, and he was such a prick on that. He was so condescending, sycophantic, full of his own shit. He just used to wind me up no end. And ever since we've been bought by Saudi Arabia, he's jumped on his white noble steed and rallied the cause for, telling us all off and questioning our moralistic integrity. He's got such a short memory that he doesn't remember that when he went over to the Anthony Joshua fight in Saudi Arabia, he was waxing so lyrically about how well he was treated with the corporate hospitality that he even wrote a poem about it or some shite like that. It just, these guys really, really pissed me off. And I think as Mark's saying there, Chelsea literally had the Russian flag on their shirt a few years ago, and look what they're doing now. These people have got such short memories. They really have, and they're so selective as well with their criticism. I think Martin Samuels has done it before, and Oliver Holt. They're just such fucking knobs that they're so detached from the footballing world. They really, really are. I think as BT said there, I was just the opposite on the gutted press regarding the third kit. He thought it was really nice, but look what happened against Brighton. Strips are going to clash. We had to have a totally new kit against Brighton. So, we played against Wolves. We can't wear a blue and we're gold strip because that'll clash. We're not going to wear that other strip again. That was a one-time strip. So they're going to wear the third strip, which is the white and the green, so it didn't clash and everybody could see who it was. I think, Tommy's saying as well, Man United's jersey looks like a fake when you get up a store. I think half their team do as well. To be honest with you, Tommy, I'd be asking for the receipt if I was Ten Hag. But I mean, this whole kind of let's pick on Newcastle type vibe from the media, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I blocked Oliver Holt. I mean, I think I gave him a bit of shit back, as a lot of people did as well, and reminded him it was Anthony Joshua, floating on air moment. But eventually, I just thought, I can't be arsed with this prick. I'm just going to block him. And I think I said from the Evermore Twitter as well, just block the guy. Turn him off, turn the sound off. He's just a prick. He's just there to cause bother. I mean, I don't think Luke Edwards is as bad as him. I didn't block Luke Edwards, and I hope Luke Edwards doesn't block us. But I didn't block Luke. I think Luke's very opinionated. And I've heard him on podcasts, and once he stops trying to get a nibble, he makes a bit of sense sometimes. But I'm not going to block Luke Edwards because I think he mixes it up and he's complimentary about Newcastle, but Oliver Holt's just so condescending, and then he'll big up the Abramovich era. This is the same guy who said it doesn't matter where the money's coming from at one point when he was waxing lyrically about Manchester City when people were questioning Qatar as well. So again, I mean, the guy's just a fucking arsehole. The sooner he leaves football and goes and writes about, Hamlet or Macbeth or whatever shit he likes to do the weekend, the better that will be. We've got Tomo back in the comments. He's saying, what excites me it's not just this window, but the window to follow exciting times, Chris, and for everyone who follows Black and White, Sunderland manager doing a runner is good. Life is good. Do you know what? I've got to talk about this. It's quite funny, actually. I think I saw a brilliant. Picture of Alex Neil. Was it that meme where the guy's checking the girl out as his girlfriend's holding his hand, and it was the Stoke mascot and the Black Cat mascot. So some of the best stuff I've ever seen on the internet. I love it when stuff like that happens. I really do. Do you know, Sunderland's a funny one because we all have a bit of a laugh on that. It is a bit shit for them, just when they think they're getting there, they get kicked in the dick again. And I'd love to feel sorry for them. And there's some, honestly, I'm mates with some Mackhams, and they're really top guys. They massively support the football club, and we all just have a bit of gentle crack. And for those guys, I do feel sorry about it. But it's the ones who jump on and start, calling us what do they call us again? The Saudi mags, and the blood-soaked mags and all this other shit, and they scribble them on the back of toilets while they're fingering their sisters and all that. Just fuck off, man. It's all a bit of a friendly rivalry, really. Don't take it to the next level. Do you know what I mean? Stop being a bunch of fucking assholes about it. That's why we laugh at you when your manager fucks off and goes to Stoke. Who wants to go to Stoke? You know what I mean? That's like, Yeah, fucking hell, I'd be like, you think you look like Michelle Keegan, and your husband leaves you for fucking Susan Boyle. That's a real kick in the stones for the Mackhams. But for the ones who are complete arseholes, I just thought I'd laugh my head off at them, to be honest with you, which is really funny. John said he saw that picture. It was funny. It really, really was. It really was. Chris Macbeth is brilliant, by the way. Not too fussed about Oliver Holt. Absolutely, mate. I'm not questioning the theatre by any stretch, but Oliver Holt is certainly a bad guy for me. And as Roger's saying there, self-centered hypocrisy sounds familiar. Absolutely, mate. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of those guys at all. Ash is in the comments as well. He said, just pisses me off how us fans are meant to be bastions of geopolitics. Absolutely, Ash. I've said this so many times. Like, what does Barry, the black cab driver from Wallsend, have to do and think about all these kind of moralistic duties and responsibilities to fix the atrocities in Saudi Arabia? We've said it numerous times. We know they're not going to win the Humanitarian of the Year awards. It is a bad regime. It's a horrible country when you hear about what they do to people, right? But, Barry from Wallsend, that's not his job to fix that. Go and shout at Boris Johnson, all the other lazy wanks who are doing nothing about it, and sitting there watching energy companies rip everybody off in the UK. Go speak to those guys. Don't go and speak to Bazza from Wallsend or Jeff from Killingworth. It's not their fucking problem. They can't fix it. So it really just pisses me off, and it just winds me up to no end. I get sick of it. I really, really do. That's why I blocked Oliver Holt, because he's just such a complete prick, and I just can't be arsed with it in the slightest, to be honest with you. We've got Stu in the comments saying, anyone see that tweet from a Sunderland fan wanting them to get Potter? Jesus Christ. Is that Harry Potter, Stu, is it? Fucking hell. It'd be magic if they pulled that off. They're never going to get Graham Potter. Jesus H. Christ. And Ash is saying he saw that one. It was effing brilliant. But because our history is squeaky clean, absolutely. But no, honestly, guys, it's been great. I've been on for 46 minutes here, just me on my own. So thank you so much for the comments. You really helped everything flow. But yeah, it's just, I suppose going into the Liverpool game, just looking at that a little bit, I think we mentioned earlier, these injuries are not good. You potentially, we're looking at probably 5 of our star players, and Trippier, Wilson, Bruno, Maxi potentially, all being out, and that's not good. But the good news will be Isak coming on as well, I think, and that would be absolutely unbelievable. It's like Lima said, I know Barry from Wallsend. There's a taxi driver as well. See, mate, honestly, I know my stuff. I do. I love this area. I know about the the kind of census in the area, mate. I've gone door to door and taken it. Jimmy saying, thank you very much, mate. I really appreciate that, Jimmy. Yeah, but just going back to that game there against Liverpool, I don't know what we're expecting on this one. I really don't. It's just, Liverpool off the back of 9-0. I don't think we should get too pissy knickered about that, because Bournemouth are shit. I really do think that, I could get about 11 of you or 10 of you here in the comments. I think we give Bournemouth a game. They're shit. Bournemouth are so out of their depth. Scott Parker looks like a broken man. He really does. Like he's pissing uphill with the wind blowing. They're not going to go anywhere in this league except down, 100% down. I'd be shocked if Parker isn't sacked before Christmas and big fat Sam Allardyce is in there trying to keep them up, which he probably will do, the shit house. But beating them 9-0 isn't anything for us to get too worried about. Even if we're missing 4 or 5 of those players, I think we'll still get beat, but we'll not get battered 9-0 or anything like that. Maybe a steady 3-0 or something. But if we can bring in the 2 or 3 players in this window, it's going to be too late for the Liverpool game, because there's no way they're going to be registered and trained in time to play. But I think after the Liverpool game, if we've got them wrapped up before the window shuts, bringing those 2 extra quality players, we'll be in a much better position. Bruno's hopefully back in a week or 2. I think Wilson's back in about 3 weeks as well, so we'll be a lot stronger then as well. So yeah, for me, I'm not too scared about the Liverpool game. I really aren't. I'm not. I just think it'll be what it'll be, and we'll cover it as well, with the preview and maybe a little bit of a post-match as well off the back of that. So Alan's saying that Man United was sponsored, but I said this to a Man U fan, that me and PK, our own PK, were winding up some Man United fans on Twitter, which is quite funny. But he's saying Man United was sponsored for Saudis for 10 years. Oliver Holt plus Michael Shithouse Delaney, Miguel Shithouse Delaney. Oh yeah, he gets in a right pissy fit, doesn't he? He needs to get himself a cowpole before he goes to bed at night after he reads about Saudi Arabia. There's a small paragraph in the Northern Echo. Absolutely, mate. And Robbie's saying that they are allies of the UK. They do, mate. I think they've invested in half of London. Whether you agree with it or disagree with it, it's a matter of fact. Sadly, the people with money in this world don't have great moralistic integrity. They've got more skeletons in the cupboard than Michael Jackson's Thriller, to be fair. Peter's given us a thumbs up. Nice to see you, Peter, as well. Thank you so much, mate. Sunderland's nightclubs damning farewell to Alex Neil after Fuck Alex Neil. Oh God, honestly, it is quite funny. I think Netflix are already lining up the next one. Sunderland Till I Die. Fucking hell, part 2, post mortem. I think Isak will start on Wednesday, given the clip of our injury list. I couldn't agree more, Ash. I think he's a steady starter as well on Wednesday, and he'll give them a bit of a run. Van Dijk hasn't looked brilliant. Yeah, he scored a goal against Bournemouth, and he obviously did have a great deal to do. But Van Dijk's looked creaky, he's looked ropey, and I'd love to see what Isak does against him. I really, really would. Parker already knows they're doing Robbie. I couldn't agree more, mate. I think Parker's already crying into his designer cardigan, I think, because he knows they're down. Michael C is saying, but Chris, Isak needs those quality players around him. It's our squad depth is exposed due to our extensive style of play. Absolutely, mate. I couldn't agree more. I think he does need those quality players around him, as does Maxi as well, which is exactly what he said, to be honest with you. So I just think it's going to be a tough game. No doubt about it whatsoever. You can literally see Parker's soul. It's like Ralph Wiggum in The Simpsons, Ash. I love that reference, mate. I do know my Simpsons references. And yeah, thank you so much, Peter. We really appreciate that, mate, as well. It's really good for you to say. Smash the like button, guys, if you haven't already. Leroy is also saying, I hope we're the first team to get the magic 10, because we have had a few games where we've got 8. So yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah, the fingers crossed. I don't know if he's saying you hope we don't get smashed by 10. I hope we don't, mate. But yeah, if we can go 10 games unbeaten potentially, is that what you're saying? I think, mate. Just let me know in the comments what you think there, just to clarify that. The fact that Holt uses Saudi-backed Twitter, well, it's funny because he works for a company as well, which a lot of people pointed out to him in the Daily Mail, that has Saudi investment and Saudi offices. So I'd love to see what his boss put in his email inbox after the day after he started putting all that crap out there, because I think he perhaps forgets where this money's coming from. A lot of these newspapers as well are owned by Russian oligarchs, who their money is getting put into bombing Ukraine. The very same things that probably Oliver Holt puts hashtag pray for Ukraine about. So again, they're just a bunch of sycophantic, hypocritical bellends. It's late tonight. I'm trying to get these long words out. I'm struggling. Robbie said, any truth in Eddie Howe joining the LAV Coft? Maybe he is, mate. He's probably bought a place. He's been personally paid for by the PIF, mate. He's already 16 under par and leading the way. Scott Parker spends most of his week picking out his outfit. He really does. He really does. Mark saying, thanks, Peter. Yeah, massively. Mark's thank you, because he can't come on tonight, but he's in the comments here as well. What we got here? Bang the likes, guys. Yeah, thanks. Really appreciate that, Rob. You're a top man, mate. Got another one there from Alan. Chris plus Liverpool plus Man City are the 2 best teams I've ever seen in 50 years of watching football. No shame if we get beat on Wednesday. Would you give Anderson a run out? Do you know what, mate? I really, really would. I know we're probably going to try to talk about this this week with the lads as well. I think Anderson's just got something about him, hasn't he? He just looks like a really, really good player. He's hungry for the ball. I was talking actually on Twitter to Norman Riley from True Faith. I love Norman. He's fucking great as Norman. And he said he just looks like he's bulked up. And he has. He left for Bristol Rovers a boy, and he's come back a man. One of my work colleagues is a Bristol Rovers fan, and they adore him. They call him the Geordie Maradona, but he just looks like he's put on some muscle. But his movement is so clever. He gets involved with the play. He wins the ball back. He passes it, and he's on his bike again. He's every time I've seen him pre-season and the cameos, he's been in the box looking to score goals. He should have really scored the winner at the weekend, and what a fantastic day that would have been for the lad. So yeah, I'd definitely start him, mate. I don't think we've got anything to lose. I think that he doesn't even take up a squad place because of his age. I just think he just looks better and better and better, as every time he has an appearance, and he wouldn't be overawed. I think Longstaff made his debut against Liverpool Anfield, if I remember, and he didn't look out, overawed either. But Anderson's such a better player that I just don't think he would look overawed at all. And I think he could really be a surprise package in that game. Oh, sorry, yeah, the first to score 10, Chris. Absolutely, mate. I'd be grateful, could cry, especially if Isak gets that. I'd be buzzing for that, mate. And Roger saying, class crack after a shitty, how's that girlfriend X days? Mate, oh, sorry to hear that, Roger, mate. Plenty more fish in the sea, Bonnie, lads. Just keep your chin up if that is the case, mate. But thanks for coming on tonight, and I'm glad I've been able to cheer you up a little bit. And Ash is saying, of course, we all know how much a Daily Mail loves people, especially foreign folk. Exactly, Ash. It's their fault Isak couldn't fucking play at the weekend, mate. They're the real problem here, the Daily Mail. And Michael C is saying, don't forget, Parker bled for NUFC. Do you know what? He literally did bleed, Michael. One of the best games I ever saw. I remember watching it with my old man, was Arsenal at St James's Park, when Scotty Parker was unbelievable that game. He really, really was. I think he got smashed in the mouth, didn't he? His mouth was pissing the blood, and he was still flying in for challenges and everything else. And just, yeah, he was brilliant. He had to get dragged off, didn't he? Subbed off, carried off, and the whole stadium rose to cheer, even the Arsenal fans, to be fair, as well. So, yeah, I was a big fan of Scotty Parker at Newcastle. I think he got a bit of a rough ride by a lot of people. But as Ash is saying, I'll never forget him lifting that Enter-Toto certificate with such pride. He did, mate. It was brilliant. You know, it was, I think it was straight out of the printers. That was the old Enter-Toto. I think they printed it at half-time, didn't they, to make sure somebody had something. And Peter's saying, thank you very much, mate. What a lovely comment. You're a top lad. Love watching your content. Always leave a like. Top man, Peter. Really appreciate that, mate. And it's I know Mark appreciates that too. He's sad he can't come on tonight, mate, but he will be back on soon. So I'll have my partner in crime with me soon. I feel like Mike Lowry without Marcus Burnett. That's right, Mark. I'm Mike Lowry. I'm taking that. I'm Mike Lowry. So Stu was saying I would play Almiron against Alexander Arnold. Absolutely. He is so shit defensively. Trent, he really, really is. He's brilliant going forward, but defensively he can be got at, and Miggy's got the pace to get in behind him. I agree with you, Jimmy. Anderson looks better than Longstaff, Willock and Shelby. I'd definitely start Anderson. Me and PK are massive believers in that. PK loves the lad. Leroy is saying, if we had any other Swedish players other than Isak, Kraft and Andreas Anderson? That's a good question, mate. I don't think we have. I was going to say, Hottiger was Switzerland, wasn't he? I was nearly getting confused there. I don't think we have any other Swedish players, mate, to be honest with you. I think they're the only three that I can remember. I can't remember any. We were linked to a few Swedish players in the past, like Brolin and was it Martin Darlene that played for Blackburn, but we never got them in the end. But no, I can't remember any of the Swedish players. We've got, I think he's saying when we beat Arsenal, yeah, that's exactly what I said, Michael. Yeah, he was brilliant. He was unbelievable that game, honestly. He was like a boxer. He looked like he put up more of a fight than Joshua did the other night, mate. Absolutely, as Ash is saying there in the comments. And we've got 2 for Life. Thank you so much, mate. I really appreciate that. 2 for Life. We always just try to keep you entertained, buddy, if we can. So, yeah, I've got no problem speaking for an hour, mate, as Mark will happily vouch. So, yeah, Alexander Arnold will play on the opposite side, and Mickey, yeah, we'll put ASM. ASM will torture him as well, and BT, because I think you don't think you could deal with him either. We'll definitely play Anderson and Joe Litton on Wednesday, 100%. Couldn't believe it. That's how I just said that comment through me there. Get Photoshop the bad boys, post that new channel photo. Yeah, definitely. Mark will get on that. No, Mark, you can't be like Mike. You're Marcus Burnett, right? You're the one with a family station wagon, and yeah, you're undercover, mate. You're undercover. So class. Thank you so much, Michael. We really appreciate that, mate. In the comments, it's been a great ride for us so far. We're a very young channel. In comparison to some of the big hitters out there. So we love all you guys for clicking the button, and anyone who hasn't, please click it. This is all free content, as me and Mark always say. We don't want to charge anybody for anything, especially this day and age, where everything's really tough and people are struggling for money. We just happen to come on, give you guys something to watch, something to get involved with, something to chat to us about. If you're having a shit day like Roger has before, we've had other guys in the comments before have had shit days, and if we can just take you through it and just help you chat to somebody about Newcastle United or anything, we're really happy to do that, guys. So thank you so much, everybody, in the comments. I'll have one last one before I fuck off for the night. We've had a few turnips. That's sweet. Great stuff too, for life. That's a great way to end the show, mate. I really appreciate all the comments, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with me for 57 minutes here. It's been class to have you on. As I mentioned at the start, if you haven't already, smash the like and subscribe button. We'd love to have you on board if you haven't. I think we're on 1,730 subscribers. Would love you to get us to that 1,800 before time. The goal is for 2,000, as was said in the comments previously as well. So really appreciate all the comments tonight, guys. We'll be back on Thursday with the Evermore podcast. I'll be back on with the boys. We'll be talking about the Liverpool game and also the close of the transfer window. And hopefully we've made some moves with some players by then. But this is Chris signing off. You'll have a great night, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Just love your comments there as well. Thank you so much, guys. Absolutely, yeah. Really appreciate that. This is me signing off definitely this time. Let's keep supporting that team of McCoy United, and we'll catch you on Thursday for the Evermore podcast at 7 p.m, guys. See you later. Cheers. Bye.